It's time for the Lake Martin Sports Roundup, covering all local and area sports and teams, with your host, Scott Hardy, and your phone calls at 256-234-6221. If it's sports in the Lake Martin area, we cover it. The Lake Martin Sports Roundup, right now.
Good Tuesday evening and welcome into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy this evening. We'll take your phone calls at 800-782-0108 or 256-234-6221. And Scott, we enjoy this program. Always live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill each and every Tuesday from 6 to 7. Gives us an opportunity to talk solely about the Lake Martin area athletics and a lot of great things going on this time of year. Number one, I think, has to be the wrestling program here at Benjamin Russell High School. And what a great day they had this past, or a couple of days they had this past weekend in sectionals, finishing third there in sectionals and sending 11 wrestlers to the state tournament. That's a huge number, and that's a great season.
Yeah, and it just lets you know how great they've been doing. This has been a transition for the last 2 or 3 years to get to this point. And I think the way that you could hear Coach Pike and Coach Campbell talking before the season started, they were real confident in the guys that had coming back and then some newcomers that they thought would be great additions. So I know they're excited about the great finish, and they should put on a great show in Huntsville.
Absolutely. And Benjamin Russell High School, for those of you that may be new to the area, don't know much about the wrestling program here, still number one in the state in the history of wrestling in the state of Alabama with 14 state championships. Won 11 of those in a row between 59 and 69, and just an outstanding wrestling program and one that we've been proud of for a long, long time. Moving to 6A, you would have thought would have been a hindrance to the program, but if you listen to the coaches and you listen to the parents that we've talked to over the years, the move to 6A really separated some of the top 5A and the 7A, moving them out. So it's a good setup for us, and I like what we're doing with the youth programs here in Alexander City. Had a number of kids win state championships there, and we know not only in wrestling but all the sports, really if you don't have a youth program that's feeding into these middle school and high school programs, you're beating your head up against the wall, and I think we're doing a great job up and down the line.
Yeah, all sports are doing great, but in particular, as you said, wrestling's doing a great job. But there's been a conscious effort to invest more resources in getting more participation involved and kind of bring that success that you talked about from 59 to 69, getting that back. And you're right, it starts with the youth program, and that's what this program is about, is highlighting those types of guys. And we'll have an interview coming up with the players up, with the wrestlers rather, and hopefully Coach Pike.
Yeah, we got several of the wrestlers up here, and hopefully we'll have their coach coming in here shortly. I think we'll have Coach Jeff Hines up here with us, along with the senior basketball players. They had a great season also, Scott. Came to an upsetting loss as they played so well in the first half in the area champion, or excuse me, in the area. I think it was in the semifinal round there, and then played so well, scored 48 points there in the first half, ended up losing the basketball game 85-80. It was a good, solid season for the Wildcats. Great senior class, and we hope nothing but the best for those seniors as they move on. And several of them, I think, have an opportunity to play some college ball.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to catch up with them. But obviously, it wasn't the end that they wanted. We had opportunity to talk to Coach Hines right before the postseason started for them, really, and getting ready for that. And he talked about wanting to get to Montgomery. But hopefully things will get corrected for them. But a great senior class for them, both football and basketball. A lot of those guys had a great career.
256-234-6221. If you've got questions for us, we'd love to answer them. We're getting set here in the next couple of weeks. We with the HSA Radio Network crew will be over to cover 6 full days of basketball in Birmingham. It's moved from 5 days to 6 as they've added an extra classification. It is a whirlwind up there. I've told somebody, if you've been to a casino before and you don't know what time it is, that's what this the finals is, what it's called. It used to be the Final 48. It's just called the finals. That's the new branding, the new slogan that you see there. But it does feel that way. You kind of walk into the gym at 8 o'clock, you leave at 11 o'clock at night, and you don't know what happened to your day. But we've got great basketball in this state, and I don't think I realized it until we started going up to Birmingham and doing these championships. And I came back and I said, golly, what is happening to our college programs, letting so many of these great talented athletes out of the state? So that's a whole different topic, Scott, but that's coming up tonight on Sports Blitz Live. If you want to tune that in from 7 to 9, Luke Robinson and myself will run down as they're moving into sectionals, and then they'll move into regional championships, and this is all coming down to the end, not only for the boys but for the girls, and we'll highlight those.
Yeah, and I can't wait to to have them on, and I'm really excited about the guests we have on tonight. But Randy, it's been a exciting fall and spring, and we'll also mention that the soccer season is about to start as well. ACMS started yesterday, and I'm sorry I don't know the score, but I know that the Ben's Russell JV and varsity will travel to Mountain Brook today in their season opener. So hopefully we'll be able to get some type of update before the show's out.
No rest for the weary. You head up to Mountain Brook to start it off, and that's been one of the biggest storylines. I think you and I've talked about it quite a bit. Mountain Brook's basketball team, where they've come out of nowhere, and they're right there on the cusp of winning this thing again this year, and it's unbelievable what they've been able to do. But they got great programs, and I like that we're starting the season off. If you look at the baseball program, they started off with Mountain Brook and Gardendale, so it's something to prepare for. You don't have a Cush team coming in, you're going to beat 10-1, or on both sides you would defeat them. A much smaller school or somebody like that. You start off with a great school like we have in football against Opelika several of the years, and it makes you get ready, doesn't it, Scott?
Yeah, and especially on the soccer side, we've had a lot of the players on this season, as well as Coach Till, and talking with him privately, he talked about that was one of the things last year that he thought hurt them. By the time they got to the playoffs, their region wasn't as strong as some others, so by the time they had to play the number one team, which was Homewood, and so they go on and win the state championship, so they don't feel that badly about it. But he said he's going to prepare them on a different level this year, and he said they have some tougher teams, and as you can see, starting out with Mountain Brook. And so I think both spring sports will have some challenges this year. I'm looking forward to the baseball team as well, see how the pitching staff comes around without star pitcher Sean Wright, but it should be an exciting spring.
Yeah, the boys and the girls side for soccer, both with all-star talent on both of those teams. Both of them are used to winning. They expect to win. I think the boys went 19-5 last year. The girls won a couple of big tournaments last year. I don't know what their final record was. We could pull that up, but they've got high expectations. The baseball program always got high expectations. Richie Brooks is as good as they make them here in the state of Alabama. He's been around for a long, long time. They did lose one player, but one thing you know about baseball, as long as you got some fill-in prospects, and this team's got some arms, they can pitch. They've got a young team. You don't know how that's going to parlay, but the beauty of a young team is, and we've seen it over the years, you don't know which kid's going to catch fire. You don't know which kid's going to hit 400, 450 on the season that's a 9th or a 10th grader, and you go, wow, what in the world just happened? I didn't see that one coming. So, you hate to see Sean out. We do expect Sean right back in a couple of months into the season, which will help. But Coach Brooks will have them ready, Coach Graveman as well. So we're looking forward to covering both of those sports as we head into the spring season. 256-234-6221. Scott, I'm going to step aside. I'm going to welcome a few of these wrestlers up here. We'll try to give them as much time as possible to talk, because 11 of our wrestlers will move on to compete at the state championships in Huntsville at the Von Braun Center. Should be a lot of fun. We'll put a little link up on our website and our social media outlets where you can keep up with the wrestlers real time. 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz, Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
All teams need players that can fill the positions. SNS
come back to y'all in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup, live here on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Alexander City. I'm your host, Scott Hardy, and right now we want to welcome in head wrestling coach for the Benjamin Russell Wildcats.
How you doing tonight?
That is Andrew Campbell. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, well, before we dive into the successful weekend that you guys just had, I wanted to see if you could give us a quick recap of how the season went and what your overall thoughts were.
Well, we started out the past 4 years. We started out with a tournament in Huntsville, and that tournament kind of gives us an insight to what we're going to be seeing throughout the season, because you got a lot of good teams up there, good competition. It's a tournament that has a variety of Birmingham plus North Alabama schools, so we like to start off with that, and we had some good showings there, and so we were looking forward to progressing to the season. And as we progressed through the season, we had some people, some wrestlers really turn it on and come out, and that's why we've got 11 going to state this week. So
we'll lead in. That's a great lead into what we wanted to talk about, going to state, going to Huntsville. You guys just, as you said, 11 wrestlers going. Can you talk about the successful weekend you guys just had at sectionals?
Well, we went in, we go into everything wanting to win it. And I tell you what, we had a great shot. We had a great setup as far as the way we were seated in the tournament. And I'm not usually one to complain, but going into the tournament, they set us up with a bunch of buys. And when you have buys in the tournament, you're already getting less points than another team. So we went into the tournament with 9 buys. Oxford only had 3 and Homewood only had 2. Well, Oxford finished first, Homewood finished second, we finished third. So, from day one, we're having to play catch up from where they gave us a bunch of buys for points we couldn't get that other teams were getting.
How does that apply? Like, who earns the buys?
Well, they for the sectional tournament, since it's state ran, they do it computer just randomly selects. So
that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Well, not really, obviously not, but you do finish third, and as you say, you're bringing 11 wrestlers. So we've had Riley on before, and we talked about the expectation levels of this team, and me and Randy were talking about during the first segment. You had some guys returning, a state champion, also Cassius Culpepper, who finished second, if I'm not mistaken, at state or third either, but he did make it. So you had some guys that go into state, and then you had some newcomers that you thought would be some guys would be productive as well. So going into it, what can you do to help the progression level, I guess, or in wrestling, how can you tell specifically when the progression level is taking place? Well,
I tell you, for us, the progression level has been excellent this season. We got some newcomers. We've got an original 5 or 6 we had last year. We've got the 3 seniors. We've got Thomas Coley, Daniel, and Tay, and Nick, who wrestled for us last year also. But you throw a 7th grader in there. You got Jamie Whitehead, who's a sophomore. You've got Brooks Parker, who's a freshman. And then we recruited 2 tennis players this year who have made it to state. So you could say our progression level has been pretty good.
Well, I wanted to talk about that too. When you talk about teams like Thompson and some of your more premier Oxford, some of your premier programs, a lot of times they have larger numbers. And so how does that play when you get to state? Does that obviously – are you getting buys? Are you getting automatic wins, I guess, if there's nobody or will there always be somebody that's in your weight class?
Well, when you head to the state tournament, it's a full bracket.
Okay.
There's no buys. You've got a match from the beginning until, as long as you can stay in the tournament, which is good. So when we go Thursday morning, it'll be a 16-man bracket, completely full, top 8 from the north, top 8 from the south. And then they kind of divide it up that way where the number 1 guy from the north will wrestle the number 8 guy from the south, and it kind of plays like a football bracket would.
Gotcha. And so I know before we came on air, you were talking about your son, and your son also participated in the youth wrestling program this past season. And so I know that if you're looking at some of the other programs as well, especially your larger programs, how they've sustained success was building their youth program. So can you talk a little bit about how LX City has tried to attempt and is doing a great job of starting to get more active members in the youth program and what we can do to keep that going?
Well, we have 2 volunteer coaches, and I stress volunteer because these guys, they do it every Saturday, 3 to 4 days a week, no pay, away from their families. Eric Gregg and Mason Gilwaters, they do a great job in getting the kids out. But wrestling is just one of those sports where kind of it's either for you or it's not. Um, and it's a lot of hard work. So sometimes it's hard to get some kids out and stay because you can't be lazy in wrestling. It's you by yourself and you've got to go constantly. You don't get to wait on somebody else's turn and then your turn comes up. It's always your turn. So building that youth program and getting them used to that level of them competing rather than watching a team compete is detrimental to building that middle school and then that high school program. And getting a leg up like Thompson did when they started youth, and then when those kids got old, they went to middle school, and then they didn't start a high school program till those kids got to high school, which they came out of nowhere. But for those who were in the wrestling community, kind of knew and saw what was going on, and that's why they've been so successful. So it definitely starts at the younger ages. Just like now, you go over there to Top Flight Gymnastics. You don't have a bunch of 16-year-old kids in there. You've got kids from 5 years old all the way up through high school. And they're the ones in there, competing and going on Saturdays. Everything to be competitive. A lot of times these days, you almost have to start at that younger age.
Well, speaking of competitive, you definitely have some great competitors on your wrestling squad. And what we'll do, we'll take a break right here. And when we return, we'll give you an opportunity to introduce your wrestlers.
Okay, thanks.
We'll take another break. More of the Lake Morning Sports Roundup show live from JR's right after this.
Has specialized in
We're
all
straight up and
residential
down.
floor coverage.
Come back to y'all in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show, live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Alexander City. 256-329-2328 is the number to dial in for them, and they'll take care of your delivery needs, or you can come here and get some of their great food. Right now, what we want to do is let Randy introduce some of the wrestlers from the squad that will be taking the place at the state this week.
Yeah, excited to have these guys up here with me. And if you can tell, there's some great athletes in this group that multi-purpose athletes here at Benjamin Russell High School. They not only wrestle, but they play football. A lot of them play spring sports as well. So we're excited to have them up here with us. And 11 of them moving on to the state tournament at the Von Braun Center in Huntsville this upcoming weekend. And we're wishing them nothing but the best and hope that they can bring back a solid placement here in the state of Alabama. Give us your name, your weight class, and which grade you're in.
My name is Aaron Deloney. I wrestle 126. I'm in the 12th grade.
12th grade and 126, and that is a tough weight class, Aaron. When you watch, there's a lot of athletes that weigh 140, 145 pounds, but they can be tall at length and tough to compete with there, can't they?
Yeah.
And at 126 pounds, how many years you been wrestling?
This is my 3rd year.
3rd year, so you started when you came over to the high school?
Mm-hmm.
And what part of wrestling do you enjoy the most?
I like the individuality. It's like you don't have to depend on anybody else. It's just you. And if you mess up, you can blame yourself.
Yeah, you definitely can. And one thing I've always liked about wrestling is you learn how to get in shape. You learn a lot of new weight workouts. And I've watched the way that y'all get after it in practice like that. It's something else. Just talk about that a little bit.
It's well, Coach Campbell and Coach Pike, they preach pushing the pace and working hard. And if you go out there and push your opponent to the limit, you'll win. That's the goal.
Give us, as we close out with you, the things about this team that you've really enjoyed being around this year.
Really, like how close we became. I think out of all 3 of my years wrestling, this is like the closest we came.
Well, and that means a lot. So good luck to you. We wish you nothing but the best. Okay, buddy?
Good luck.
And we'll bring up another senior wrestler here for the Wildcats. Give us your name and weight class.
My name is Nick Thompson. I wrestle for 160, and I'm in 12th grade.
And I can tell y'all, Nick is a tall, long, tough opponent. I can guess wrestling. And Nick, give us an idea. How long you been wrestling?
This is my 1st year.
1st year wrestling. And what made you decide to come out your senior year?
Well, I wrestled last year, but I was in JV.
Okay.
And so this is my 1st time wrestling varsity. I just wanted to go out there and do my thing. Well,
you've definitely been doing that. And give us an idea. Is it a tough weight class that you'll be competing against this weekend?
Well, it's a lot of competition, and 160 is stat. I think my hardest opponent might be Khalid Jones at the #1 spot. But, I'm going to make it there. I'm going to push him and try to beat him and come out state champ. Well,
we're definitely going to be cheering for you. And give us an idea, the thing about this team that has really meant the most to you this year.
It's been fun this year. I like how close we became, how fun it's been. We definitely had a lot of fun going out there doing what we're supposed to do, like working together, drilling together. It's been fun. Well,
good luck to you. We wish you nothing but the best. Okay, buddy? Uh-huh. We've got another young man, and I'm starting, as I get older out there, I'm starting to have kids that I had when he was 6 or 7 years old on my Little League baseball team. And now he's taller than I am, so I'm feeling old by my age. And this is Trevor. Trevor, what year are you?
11th grade, 1st year wrestling.
1st year wrestling, and what made you decide to come out this year?
Mainly Deloney and Nick walking up to me every other day trying to convince me to wrestle.
Well, I've been keeping up with you, and I try to keep up with the kids that I knew when they were young, and you've really done well this year, and you continue to grow. What part of wrestling have you enjoyed this year being your first?
Just that how they accepted me. Like, I've been wrestling I've been with them forever, but it's just my 1st year. They accepted me like a brother. They're like a family to me. Well,
that's great. And talk about your weight class. It's always tough in the state, but who will be some of your toughest competition this year?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention. It's just go out there, wrestle, try to beat them.
Well, good luck to you. We wish you nothing but the best. Okay, buddy?
Self-aware, man. You can't beat that.
And I got another one. I've had T more times than once. I've had T 3 or 4 times, and he was an outstanding baseball player too when he was a youngster. But we were thrilled for you this past weekend to win a sectional championship it'll be something that you'll be excited about. First off, give your name, your year, and which weight class you wrestle in.
My name is Thomas Coley. I'm a junior, my 3rd year wrestling, and I'm in the weight class 152.
T, I've noticed that since you started wrestling, you just continue to get better and better every year. What do you think it is that's starting to click for you now?
Right now, hopefully I'm at my peak, and I just continue to grow and do better each year.
Who was your toughest competition in sectionals this past weekend?
It had to be my quarterfinal match against Stanhope.
Okay, and I'm sure that he made it on to the States this weekend. Is that right?
Yes, sir. He placed 3rd.
Okay, so he placed 3rd. Give us an idea. Have you wrestled anybody else from the northern half of the state that's going to be tough for you this weekend?
Yes, sir. My quarterfinal match against Arab and hopefully my semis against Scottsboro.
Okay, well, we'll be cheering for you, T. First off, this has been a great year for the Wildcats. Your 3rd year wrestling. What part of this team has meant the most to you?
Just everybody's character. We all clicked, and, we've had good times this year.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best, buddy. Good luck to you. We'll be keeping up. And we've got one of our better athletes. I'm going to go ahead and jump out on a limb, but we got Daniel Bland coming up here. And, yes, he is our heavyweight champion from last year. So no pressure. We expect you to bring another one home this weekend, but you win the sectional championship this past weekend. First off, give your name, weight class, and what year you are.
My name is Daniel Bland. I'm a junior, and I wrestle heavyweight, which is 285.
285. Are you having any problems staying at weight on that?
I'm 259 right now, but after I got done eating, I'm probably 275.
275. And your dad's happy with that, by the way. He doesn't know about that 259 weight class. All right, Daniel, you won the state championship last year, and you've only lost once this year, and it was a heartbreaker from what I can remember. And just give us an idea of you just get better and better every year, too. I think you lost 8 times last year, but you win the state championship. What's clicked for you this year?
I mean, the conditioning is better, and I just feel like I'm more experienced at my weight class now.
Give us an idea. Who your toughest competition, who's it going to be from this weekend?
Really, there's no tough competition, but I just want to look at the people I want to look at match by match, and the person that's keeping me from being in the finals, that's my toughest competition.
Well, Daniel's got a great way of looking at that, and y'all got a great team. You are a team player, not only in wrestling, but in football. You can notice that. But give us an idea. What about this team has meant the most to you?
This team, we're brothers, and we really just come together, and we're there when they're wrestling. The whole team's on the side, and I mean, we're just a family.
Well, we'll be cheering for you, and good luck to you. Bring us another state championship home. And let's welcome another one of our big, strong wrestlers up here for the Wildcats. Give us your name, your weight class, and what year you are.
My name is Jamie Whitehead. I wrestle 182, and I'm a sophomore.
Jamie, the 182-pound class is full of athletes, and for you to have gotten through to make it to the state, just talk a little bit about your weight class.
There's a lot of pretty good people out there, and some not so much. You just got to stay focused, know what your moves are, and push the pace. As
the season has progressed, you have gotten better and better. I've been keeping up. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, first off the season, I was not doing good. I had to keep getting better and better. And then through the season, especially the peak week, I got better, and now I'm heading to state.
Talk about this team, and how long have you been wrestling, by the way?
I've been wrestling for 3 years.
3 years. And what about this team's made it special?
Basically how anyone who can wrestle, they come in, they treat you like family. They support you even though you win or lose. If they lose, they go cheer you up, make sure you can go on to your next match and win.
Well, good luck to you. We'll be cheering for you this weekend. And we got one more junior that will head up here. And another one of these kids that's been able to make it to the state tournament, an outstanding athlete right here. Give us your name.
Brooks Parker. I wrestle 113 weight class, and I'm a freshman.
Freshman Brooks. And I don't know, I thought Brooks was a little bit older than that, but you're a freshman, and being able to make it through, that's to say something. 113-pound weight class. Who's your toughest competition here in the state?
I'd like to name my toughest competition, but, I got to wrestle the person that's on the mat with me first before I can get to them. So.
Well, I can tell that your coach has preached that into you. I'm not going to ask that question anymore. And first off, talk, though, also about this team. You've been wrestling through the middle school. I know your father was a great wrestler as well. Just talk about a little bit how much this sport's meant to you.
Well, this sport means everything. I mean, it relies on individual performance. You got a team, but they rely on your performance that you do. So it's more individual.
Okay, well, then this weekend is going to be a tough competition. Have you been able to go to one of these state championships before up in Huntsville?
I did. I went to the tournament last year,
Okay.
but I didn't compete.
Yeah, but you were able to go and you're able to see it, so it's a little bit fresh to you, but we're looking forward to it. And what's kind of your goal for this weekend? Do you have a goal that you got set?
Well, my goal for this weekend is to try to win at least 2 matches.
2 matches. That would be a great thing. Good luck to you. We'll be cheering for you. Okay, buddy? Thank you. We got some youth on this team, and this one, when I saw that he was wrestling, I started scratching my head. I knew he's a great wrestler with a youth program, and but to move up as a 7th grader on the varsity, now he's a big kid as a 7th grader, so I'm not feeling too bad for him. But give us your name, your weight class.
Saxon Coker, 106.
And Bapa is how everybody knows you, and you have gotten better and better as the season's moved on too. Just talk about your first year on the varsity.
I mean, they accepted me in wrestling, and
hey, well, give me this. You're varsity, and you've been wrestling in the youth program for so long. What's the biggest thing that you've seen or has been the biggest shock to you moving up in the varsity from all of your youth wrestling? The competition level?
yes, sir.
And the age, does age mean anything?
No, sir.
So age doesn't mean anything. I'm sure he's getting that drilled into him too by his coaches. What are your goals this weekend in your first state tournament up in Huntsville?
To place.
To place would be a great goal. And who's your toughest competition out there? Do you know who that is?
My first match.
Your first match. Again, I'm not asking that question anymore. So good luck to you, buddy. We'll be cheering for you, okay?
That was absolutely great. 2 things I want to take from that. The first thing is togetherness and family. That was the one thing that each one of them had to say. And secondly, they are definitely getting coached well. And you want to see that. And if you're a wrestler, everybody's speaking about individuality. You're right. It should be the next person that you're facing. So I love the attitude that they have. And with that type of attitude, they'll have success, not on the mat, but off the mat.
Well, we're looking forward to following these kids this weekend. If you're wanting to keep up, wrestling does as good a job as anyone keeping you into real time. And we'll be able to go to all of our social media outlets, our website. We'll put a link up there, and I think it's Stat Wrestling or something. I see Sean over here. Don't tell me I'm wrong. We'll just put it up there. That's where I keep up with it. That's where you can keep up with it. But if you're looking for a great event, it's always – Scott, have you ever been to wrestling a lot?
I've gone to 2 state tournaments, and of course I've watched this wrestling team.
Did you wrestle with the ones you were cheering for over there watching?
Oh, no.
Let me tell you, every time I've been to a wrestling match, I hurt after I'm done with it because I feel like I've had to move with them and I've been cheering, and I know these parents do the same thing, but that's the reason I think it's one of the more fun sports you can go out and watch.
Yeah, and people have a misconception about it. It's one of the more athletic sports as well because you have a lot of guys that play multiple sports that do this as a conditioning sport as well, but they've done a great job of recruiting great athletes, and when you have that great of coaching, it allows you to get good athletes and then coach them up.
I want to say this one more quick time as we close out talking about wrestling. We still hold the state record for state championships in the state of Alabama, 14 state titles at Benjamin Russell High School, won 11 of those in a row between 59 and 69, won 3 more in a row in the early 80s with Dwight Busby as the coach. So this is a program that has high expectations, and I'm proud of what the coaching staff, these parents, and these kids have done to increase the level and get it back to a level where we can be excited and continue to move forward. So, Scott, we'll go ahead and go to break here on the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. When we come back, we'll continue to run down a lot of the local area athletics and take your phone calls. 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
If you're looking
Come back to y'all in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy. 256-234-6221. Got about 20 more minutes left here on this program, and had a great time catching up with those kids. And I call them kids. A lot of them a lot bigger than I am, Scott, but they're a very talented group, and I think that Coach Campbell and Coach Pike are building something here that we can be proud of, and a lot of that goes for not only their efforts with the kids once they get them over there, but their efforts in trying to build a youth program here in the city. We've got some new mats that our Sports Foundation was able to help out with. A lot of people have chipped in to try to help out this youth wrestling program.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to have Riley and Andrew Campbell here with us, and because they were both wrestlers, and secondly, they are highly invested not only with the high school team but the youth level as well. And I think that you're going to start seeing something at Benjamin Russell, especially on the wrestling side with the development that they've been doing. You'll see some wrestlers start competing. We'll have an opportunity to have more guys go to state and have an opportunity to have state championships. But you're talking about building something, and that's exactly what they're doing.
256-234-6221. And, Scott, we've talked a lot about wrestling here. We mentioned that the basketball team at Benjamin Russell High School unable to move on, both the girls and the boys. Tough loss for the boys' side as they lose 85-80 in a high-tempo match. And those basketball players, those seniors, have the opportunity to move on, and they'll hopefully find a place to go play. And a lot of them not only in basketball but may have an opportunity on the football side, and we'll continue to follow that. But let's move over to spring sports. And the soccer program, Austin Till taking over for his father, who had a really good tenure here at Benjamin Russell, to build a winning program at Benjamin Russell that we can be proud of in soccer. And coming into this season, the expectation level to me, I wasn't around when we had that nice little stretch in the mid-2000s, but the expectation,
That was my age group too,
the expectation level now is at its peak for me. And because the talent level, I think, you tell me. I look at how many goals they put in the back of the net. I hear about defenders. This is a very strong soccer program, to say the least.
Outside of the 2005 season, which had Harris, Haynes, and Levi, which are the two most prolific scorers that the program has had, outside of that, this is the most talent that they've had on the team, and they're so young. The best players outside of Sam and Scott, you maybe have one other senior, but maybe 3 or 4 seniors that contribute. The rest of the people that are main contributors are underclassmen. You have Cole Groveman, who's just a sophomore. You have Eddie, who's a freshman. You have Grant Hudson and that group of guys who's a junior. So they have so much depth and talent, and I think they're going to have an opportunity to make a run. They're going to be a little more defensive this year. They've had some personnel changes from last season, but last season was more of an aggressive attack. But you'll see some guys having dual roles, both on the defensive and offensive side.
As we talk about the soccer program, it's been a tough stretch sitting in 5A with the first-round matchup. I know that, was it John Carroll last year?
John Carroll.
And, Homewood, you've got all.
They played Homewood in the first round, but and John Carroll finished second. So had they won, they would have had to play John Carroll the next round. So.
Got you. Well, I know that's tough, but it's a different setup for the first round if everything works out right this year. Am I right?
If I'm not mistaken, we'll have to get more details on that, but he seemed a lot more confident in their ability to move on this year. And I know that he probably wouldn't like me saying this, but we talked about it. And when they were in Montgomery, they were the talk of state with the wrestling program. Everybody had nice things to say about the Benjamin Russell program going forward for this season.
Well, we'll continue to pass along information as we hear about that on the soccer side, and we'll continue to welcome up guests throughout the season, and they'll talk about that and keep us informed. On the baseball side, softball, Jessica Johnson takes over there, and I really do expect this program, and I feel like that they were making strides the last couple of years to get back to a really tough level. Pam Robinson had this program very close for a long stretch there, and had a little bit of a dwell down from what we have seen, mainly because we had lost a little bit in the youth programs. Not quite as many softball players competing in the youth program, but I think that a lot of the parents out there, I'll throw Gary Hines, a friend of mine out there, he's been working extremely hard. I'm leaving a lot of them out that are doing it, but they're working hard to get this program built back up to what it was expected to be. For a long time. Even when I was in school, it was a solid program.
Yeah, and then the main thing, as you said, it's been a little lacking in the number department from the youth side, and coming up, they don't have as many guys or girls to select from. But I like the new transition of Jessica Johnson taking over. Interesting story. Her sister is the head coach too at Dable, so that'll be a nice little rivalry there. So hopefully we'll have both of them on as well to talk a little bit about that. But the BRHS softball team is expecting to have good pitching this season. So if the bats can come along, I think they'll have a pretty good year.
256-234-6221 is our phone number. We'll go ahead and take a break here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Went a little over on this previous segment. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the baseball program. We'll run down some of the teams that are still out there competing in the local area. I'm not sure. Did Dable they able to make it through? Yes, so we'll talk about them as we head in on the basketball side. 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
Chicken fingers or wings in town, and look.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Got about 7 more minutes left here on the program. Can't thank JR Sports Bar and Grill enough for all that they do for the local community. If you're looking for catering needs, JR's is the place to call on. 256-329-2328. It's not only what they have on the menu, Scott. they can cater whatever is in mind. They do a tremendous job of getting out and serving banquets, and they do all that they can to support the community. One thing that we've talked about, one special that they've always had, is you make sure to come up here, bring your kids in uniform. That can be a practice uniform or a game uniform. They'll eat off the kids' menu for $3.99. So $3.99 is the kids' special now, so make sure to bring them on up here to JR Sports Bar and Grill.
Absolutely. And they also have their Wednesday special, the $5 snack finger basket. So always check them out, 256-329-2328.
Let's move over. Let's talk about baseball a little bit, and it's getting geared up. First off, playing spring sports in this nightmare is a story in itself, Scott. Never forget our first game, one of our first games at baseball. We had to go over to Prattville, and it was sub 40 degrees playing baseball, and that is just miserable weather. And it seems like baseball and soccer, they just keep creeping it a little bit forward. It's starting sooner and sooner. I may be wrong there, but is that not the truth? It doesn't seem like it started this soon back many years ago.
Well, I don't. In high school, I think our first games would start right around maybe mid-February, so roughly around this time. But the practice time you're talking about, it'd be miserable. You start in January, and so you're catching it right as winter hits. And these winters are a lot different than 10 years ago than they are now. But again, I'm really excited about this season. Though I think it's a fresh start. You lose some very talented guys, but this is a transition time for the program, and I'm really looking forward to see what Coach Brooks is able to do with this.
You know, I'm always interested to see which kids, because you've kept up with them, you know them. If you grow up in a small town like we do here, you know them when they're youth, and you get to read their names. And there's some kids that's got a lot of talent. A lot of them are young. But to me as a coach, and I'm sure Coach Brooks would say that as well, it's fun. It's fun to have new faces through, because you are going to see some that are going to surprise you, and some of them, you know, that you expected big things from just aren't going to pan out. But it's been a nice stretch. I think we went 25-10 last year. A really good season. Made it to the second round of the playoffs. May have been Marbury. I know that we lost out to Marbury. I couldn't remember if it was the second or the third round of the playoffs, but I've been able to move kids on. I think that's part of a program that you can be very proud of. Kendall Graveman, Coach Graveman's son, we talked about him a lot, but Zach Rogers. Zach's over at Alabama. Everything that I hear about Zach, he's throwing the ball well, getting some innings. I know that they're about to start, but Caleb Brooks, I talked to Caleb yesterday, and he's seeing a lot of playing time over at Central Alabama Community College. I'm leaving a lot of kids off, Scott, but when you've got a program that can send kids on, as many as we have, and send kids to the minors and potentially send kids to the professional ranks, you're doing something right.
I have Mr. Yankee, too, Griff Gordon, who was an outstanding baseball player here and moved on to Jacksonville State and had one of the best batting averages and best hitting seasons of anybody in the NCAA his senior season. Was drafted by the Yankees, so he's in their minor league system. But it's a good time for baseball in the local area, and I'm really excited. I know we talk a lot about Kendall, but I think Kendall has a chance to make the rotation this season. We've been reading a lot of write-ups about people around the baseball community, and they seem to think that his style of pitching will be able to, especially in Oakland, will be something that keeps him somebody who can stay in the stay in the rotation for years.
Well, somebody with this, I mean, his stats last year, I don't care who's writing. Somebody's got to be a lot smarter in baseball than me, but I'll take those stats. I don't care who you are. I mean, up and down classification didn't really matter if he was in single A, double A, triple A. He was in low ball throughout. He was a sub-2 ERA and was getting people out, and he wasn't walking people. And he grew up with his father and Coach Brooks. Let me tell you, if you walk somebody with that man, Lord love you, you are going to hear it. And I think that his preaching that is the reason you're seeing so many of our kids go on, and they're successful because they know the right way to play. They know the right way to prepare themselves. And so we're doing that well, not only in baseball. We're doing that well in soccer. I know that it's club league in soccer. I hate that it's that way, but it just is what it is. I wish we had more opportunities for our kids to move on and get scholarships for soccer, because we've definitely got a lot that would take advantage of that, Scott. But we've got some very good spring sports, to say the least.
Yeah, and going back to Zach Rogers on the Alabama side, they come out ranked top 20 this season, and I saw a projected 64 earlier today, and they're saying Alabama would probably be a number 2 seed in that. So he's got a chance to be on some productive teams going forward, and I think that only will help him. I think he's somebody that will follow Kendall's route at Mississippi State, where probably starts in the bullpen freshman year and then gets more innings as a starter as his season or as his career progresses.
Dave the only team left here in the local region making it through to basketball.
Yeah, and they actually, and I hate that I didn't do a better job of keeping up with them after I started looking at it today. They actually had a really good basketball team, and so I think they probably won't go as deep as maybe the finals, but to make it this far, I think they've done an outstanding job. And so the girls had a really good season too, but not as good as the boys. So the boys looking to maybe make some postseason magic.
We'd love to hear from you out there. If you have kids that are doing great things, not only in the high school ranks, but in the youth ranks, 256-234-6221, we want them on this program. We've got social media outlets. You can reach out to us there. You can come up here to JR's, talk to Miss Ann. Everybody knows Miss Ann. Come up and let her know that I'd like for my kids to be on. I'd like for their little league team. They won the championship. They did something special in a travel ball event. My kid's wrestling, and he won a state championship. We had that a couple of weeks ago. We want them up here on this program. That's what this program's for. We hope that Scott and I don't have to sit up here and talk to each other at all. That's not what it's for. So please reach out to us. We're kind of leaning on them, aren't we, Scott?
Yes, and so I know since we started to put that out and promote that we will accept anybody who wants to have their children on here. It's done a better job of getting better guests on. So appreciate Justin taking care of that. But, again, you can contact Justin Clayton, and he'll put out his email address on one of these Facebook posts. And if you're interested in getting any of your athletes on, make sure to let us know, and we'll take care of it.
You know, one thing we're so impressed with here, Alexander City Parks and Rec, if you haven't been over and seen the new soccer complex and some of the changes that are going on there, make sure to do so, because it's going to bring a lot of revenue from outside of the community into ours. And that's what these facilities, it's for a lot of other things, but that if you're looking for a dollars and cents and it's all business and it's all money to you, it's important there. And if you don't believe it, go to some of these communities that have these type of parks. And soccer just ramping up and having that option as well as we have in the baseball side. We do a tremendous job over there. acpr.me is their website. They do a tremendous job. They were getting registration through this past weekend for baseball and soccer, and from everything I've heard, it was big numbers on both ends, Scott.
Absolutely. But speaking about that soccer field, as we get ready to wrap things up, they're going to have some tremendous things there. I don't want to release what it's going to be, but you're going to be very excited to see, and it's going to be some things that not even some of your larger communities won't have. And so it'll be a highlight for not only for the girls and varsity soccer teams, but for people who are coming in, it'll be something great for them to see.
Well, now you've got me wondering what it is. So you did a good job there, and we'll talk a lot more about that. Hopefully get some of the leaders on that side back up here with us. And we appreciate all of you tuning in. We appreciate the Benjamin Russell High School wrestling team. 11 of them will move on to the state tournament in Huntsville. You can follow them on our social media outlets. We'll put links out there on how all the kids are doing. Hopefully we'll have several state championships coming back to Alexander City. Come on out to JR Sports Bar and Grill. Have a great dinner, $5 snack. Finger basket on Wednesdays is the special, and a reminder, $3.99. Bring your kids out in uniform, including practice uniform. They'll eat off the kids' menu. For Scott Hardy, I'm Randy Lee saying thanks for tuning in to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup.
All right, go, man.